Good morning, Facebook. It is day 19 of the Facebook Live Challenge. It's a 30-day challenge, and really 30 days will take me all the way through the month of December. So it's more than what I guess two-thirds done. So maybe not quite, but we're getting there. So day 19. Now, I'm a little later than normal whenever I come on this morning because I've been doing a little bit of research. I got on a mastermind call of mine last night, and I got some interesting information that I had never thought about before, and I've never seen anybody else use in regards to a podcast. And so I wanted to share that with you this morning, but I also had to do just a little bit of research to try to figure out what's going on. So many people have I guess, trouble sometimes getting interviews. I mean, I don't necessarily know it's that they don't know how to get interviews or they run out of interviews is one of the one of the bigger things that happens. And you might start out really strong with having a good deep bank of interviews that you've got in the can. And then as time goes on, you get distracted, you get focused on other things with your podcast, and it gets harder and harder to find interviews, to schedule them, to get people to commit to them, to get people to show up with the interview time. And it seems like we're always, if you have an interview show, you're always kind of shaking the trees for your for your guest. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that I was talking to a guy in my mastermind last night, and he has a weight loss podcast. And so his show is interviews of people that have lost weight and that are doing, weight loss type activities and things that they're sharing with other people. And he was talking about how he was doing something else. He was going to start doing marketing. And I was like, I'm always, kind of interested. And I was like, so, what marketing are you going to do? And what are you going to use for your marketing tools and your marketing channels? And he said, well, I normally do, of course, Facebook like everyone else does, but I also do Reddit. And I was like, okay. And I was like, wait a minute, what now? You do what? And he said, well, I do Reddit. So one of the things that it was interesting because I wasn't really sure was, how do you advertise on Reddit? I'd never really thought about doing that. I mean, Reddit, let's say that Reddit is kind of the wild, wild west of, internet sites. It's got a funky design. It's like old school, forum type setup. But I dug further and I said, so did you get a good response? Tell me about the advertising on Reddit. And he basically said that he did 160 interviews on his last show before he put his hiatus and it was pursuing some other things. He has a membership site and has a membership community, and his community still goes on. And he does occasional podcasts now, but it wasn't like the weekly shows he's doing. But he said of the 160 he said 100 of them came from his Reddit ad. And I'm like, okay, so tell me the Reddit ad. And he said, well, and let me back up for those of you that don't know what it is. Reddit is it's a forum. Everything is broken up. They call subreddits, and so the categories. It's not like you just go in there and post things, or it's not like you just put things on a timeline like you do in Facebook. But you put things in there, and then the Redditors, who are the members of the community, either vote it up or vote it down. And so the more the more people like it, they'll vote it up and gets more eye on and that sort of thing. But these edits are broken down into literally every there's people gathering about these topics. So it doesn't matter what your niche is. You just find a forum on Reddit would be applicable to it. So I asked him, tell me about the advertising. And he said, well, I go on Reddit about twice a week. He tries to answer questions. I think somehow some of the groups he's tied to use Reddit a lot for their interaction. And so he said, I kept noticing there was a spot on the sidebar and then a spot at the top of the subreddits he was in for his niche, which was weight loss, that kept saying, display your ad here. And so he would display his ad there, and he would be able to get in front of all those people. And so he said, I believe I spent $10 on my ad, and it ran for an entire month, and it got in front of about 500,000 people. So they do the same type of what we call CPM, like the cost per thousands or something like that. So it might be that divide 500,000 by $10, and that's whatever his cost per thousand was on that. So it's a very interesting thing, but to think when you could, you could have a popular website, because I think, Reddit at this point generates millions of millions of views on, like, page views every single month, and millions of unique page views every month. And so, but they're also targeted toward your specific category or your specific niche. So one of the things that you have to think about is this something that we as podcasters could tap into? And of course, you can play around and you can do all kinds of stuff with advertising just like anyone else is. You can target it to different Reddits, different subreddits. You never want to advertise on the front page of Reddit, because no one really stays on the front page. Everyone goes from the front page into whatever subreddits they're looking for. But a lot of times the information in Reddit is sort of considered like, I don't know, the heartbeat of the internet, or that sort of thing. It's like the front page of the internet, because you'll find things in Reddit that you won't find in mainstream media, and sometimes it gets broken on, breaking news comes on Reddit first before it comes to other places. So it's very, very interesting what's buried in Reddit. And it's this point, many marketers have ignored it. And so it's not going to be as competitive price-wise as Facebook. It's also, you'll know whenever you convert, and you'll know whenever you get, results from your ad on Reddit. But to me, it just seems like, especially if you're looking, you're not selling anything, and Redditors tend to be the part of the internet that's a little bit sarcastic and cynical. So just realize that most Redditors are not, they might not be willing to buy something there. But at the same time, if you're wanting to talk to them about whatever subreddit topic they're already in that Reddit, and they're already there discussing it because that's a forum or a place for them to comment, it seems like a very natural outgrowth for you to be able to get people to come on your podcast by using Reddit. So just wanted to share that with you. I don't know, has anybody else ever heard of anyone using Reddit to get guests? I was like, that was pretty ingenious. And of all the podcasters that I don't use podcasters, all the podcasters that I've worked with, I have never heard of anybody doing that. Now, it doesn't mean that it's the only place to get, guests for your show. There's a lot of places you can get guests, but it is another really, really cheap way. If that guy got $10 worth of Reddit ads and was able to get essentially contacts to book and follow through and complete 140 interviews, he got a really good response, because he probably had more in his, to net 140 interviews, his funnel was probably bigger than that to begin with. So it just makes you realize there are places out there that are untapped. I think Reddit has been a little bit overlooked by podcasters because of the fact that it's sort of more of like a blogging platform, or not really a blogging, but it's just more of a it's more of a forum type thing, and it doesn't seem very cutting edge. And I think Reddit's trying to do a lot to engage more people. But I just wanted to share that with you, because I think the more unique and outside the box things that you can think of to try to keep your podcast going. I have seen so many podcasts start out strong, and 3, 4, 5 months in, it just gets like a slog to try to get interviews and to try to book them. And I don't know if that's because maybe the podcaster is losing their mojo or their enthusiasm for it, or they're just not pursuing enough. Getting interviews becomes a numbers game. And many times, if you have a podcast that is about interviews, that's the format, and you don't have an interview, then you don't have a show for the next week. And so I just wanted to give you one more way that, if I find information that's out there that's worked for someone else, there's no sense in trying it and seeing if it works for you. I would like to actually try Reddit for Reddit advertising for a couple of different things that I'm doing, just because I think it's a cheap way to probably test and try to get in front of some other people. And so I think it's like any platform with testing and seeing what works and seeing what's effective. The Reddit ads don't look like normal ads like on a Facebook or Google or wherever you're trying to search for. You're trying to advertise. Like, there's no big like headline or anything like that. It's more like it's in the same form as Reddit posts are. And so it gets that crowd. It fits in what they're used to seeing. So, don't mean to, if you're a Redditor, I don't mean to talk about you, like in a negative way. It's just that those people they're savvy, and they're not, they're no BSers, and they're no, you're not going to, get some dunce clicking through. They're people that are, very well versed in what goes on in Reddit, and they know an ad from a post and that sort of thing, but they're also willing to talk and share their story. So I hope that works, for someone else. I'd love to hear a story of you trying an ad, and their ads. I think the ad budget, just so you know, I think the ad budget goes from, I believe it starts at $5 and it goes up through, like, you could have $9,999 ad budget. And one of the things that you want to, and I'll as I do some of these things and try to, sort of hack it or figure out for you, I'll share my results. But one of the things that you have to look at is the subreddits. You can see, like, how many people are in a subreddit at any time. Like, it might say 3,254 people are here. And when you go into a subreddit. And so you can kind of look and see. And so what would happen is, like, if you had the minimum budget is $5, you have to go into and advertise in a subreddit that would get enough page views per thousands that would give you the, allow your budget to be used of your $5. So you can't just go, if there's a forum or a subreddit that has 5 people hanging out in it, you probably want to steer clear of it. But the ones that have thousands, and you can kind of monitor them from day to day, go in there, comment, interact, do those kind of things. Also, you don't want to, I've done a little bit of reading on people that have written articles about Reddit advertising, and you don't want to use, if you're already a Redditor, you don't want to use your Reddit ID to do the advertising. Go ahead and create something that's kind of fairly transparent, and a separate ID for your Reddit ads, and run your ads under that ID, so that way your personal is separated from your advertising. Because what'll happen is all your it keeps track of all your threads and all your comments and that sort of thing. So you don't want people that you're trying to sell a product to potentially be able to see all of your personal comments, but all of your comments, like maybe if there's, I don't know, something controversial or whatever that you've put out there, like it's just another way to, for people to be divided or whatever. So just set up a separate Reddit ID to use just for advertising, use that, and then start with small ad budgets. $5 or $10 is not going to break the bank, and it might give you a bench of guests and other things that you might be able to, to use for your podcast. And I'm going to try some things, as far as, because there's a lot of podcast Reddits, and so I'm going to do some things, and even advertising for, like, your podcast shows and that sort of thing. Is it worthwhile? I don't know. I haven't done it, but I might try some just to see what I can do, because at that price you can kind of experiment and you can kind of see what sort of results you get. So something kind of interesting, and I just thought I'd share it. So I hope it's helpful to you. I hope that as you have ideas, or you have things that have worked for you, that you'll share them, because we'd love to hear them. I'd love to know what you're doing, and I'd love to be able to share it with other people if you found something that will be successful. You know how it is, rising tides raise all ships, or something like that. I think it is. So, anyway, just wanted to share that with you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Tomorrow, we are coming up on December 21st, which means it is day 20 of our Facebook Live Challenge. That is the official day. We will be 2/3 of the way through our 30-day Facebook challenge, and I hope you're getting something out of it. So thanks for stopping by. Come see me again tomorrow. I'll be here. Have a good day. Bye-bye.